folks, this is Diana here from Happy Goats Farm. We are a micro goat dairy in Holliston, Massachusetts. Today, I'm going to teach you about how to make a pasteurized Chevre cheese. Chevre is the soft goat cheese. Most people are pretty familiar when they think of goat cheese. They think Chevre, but in fact, there's actually many different types of goat cheese. But today, we are making the soft goat cheese. We have developed an amazing kit to help people that will include all the supplies that are needed to make your kit. So you don't have to think, where am I going to get this thing and that thing? We've put it all together for you. It'll make around 10 different batches or 10 pounds of Chevre, and it only costs $10. This could be picked up at our farm stand. So we're going to talk about the process. Obviously, you start with the freshest and best goat milk possible. We raise alpine goats, and for whatever reason, their milk and the milk that is made into cheese is just absolutely delicious. So we're going to heat up the milk. When we pasteurize, to pasteurize milk, there's two different ways. You either heat up the milk to 145 degrees and wait 30 minutes, just sort of leave it on the stove top with the cover on it, or you heat it up to 160 degrees and then bring it down to the temperature, which is around 84 degrees, that we're actually going to add the other parts of the milk, of the other cheese making cultures. So first we pasteurize the milk, then we bring it down to 84 degrees, and then we're going to add the culture. This is a French cheese culture called MM100. It really will make a fantastic cheese, and there are various cheeses that this is a base for. You can make feta with it. There's a ton of different types of cheeses. Sometimes you can make cheddar with it. And then we're going to add this is called calcium chloride. When you pasteurize milk, you have to add calcium chloride. And then we're going to add our rennet, which is our coagulant. It's going to create the chemical process to separate the curds from the whey. So our first step is heating up the milk. So we're just going to pour, this is fresh milk that was from our goats from this morning. And this is a gallon, and a gallon will make approximately a pound. I'm going to do this video in a couple of different steps, so when it's all over, we'll actually weigh how much cheese we got out of the gallon. And as I go to the stove to heat it up, I'm going to take my trusty slotted stainless steel spoon and my digital thermometer. So these are not included in the kit, but these are necessary in making cheese. So, and as I heat up the milk, I'm going to stir the milk with my slotted spoon. And on one hand, in the other hand, I'm going to hold my thermometer. So we're just going to turn this on. And I'm just going to hang out and slowly heat up the milk, and then we'll circle back. We've heated the milk to 158 degrees, and now it is time to cool down the milk. I'm placing a pot in an ice water bath to cool it down, and I'm going to continue every so often to stir it with this trusted slotted metal spoon and take the temperature while I'm stirring it. It is important not to overheat the milk. If you overheat the milk, say past 165 degrees, you will end up with sour cream. For whatever reason, this recipe, this cheese will not be how you intended. We've cooled down the milk to 84 degrees, and now we are going to add the culture. Now, I've made Chevre a million times, and there's plenty of times that I've cooled down the milk. I've left the milk in the sink, I've forgotten about it, I come back, it's too cold, it's fine just to heat it up on the stove again to 84 degrees. So one of the things we discussed, we all need a metal slotted spoon. Now is the time that we're going to add our MM100 culture. This culture is a culture from France, and it's used in a bunch of different cheeses. This is what's gonna be one of the characteristics that flavors the cheese. So really the quality of the milk, what the goats eat, the type of goats they are, and the culture is what creates a nice flavor for the cheese. And I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon to my milk. And I'm not going to mix it in just yet. I'm going to add the culture, and I'm just going to let it fall on top of the milk. And then I'm going to wait 5 minutes and set my timer, and then I'm going to mix in the culture. Now it's time to stir in the culture into the milk. We just stir a handful of times. And the next step is to add the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is only needed when you pasteurize the milk. So I'm going to take about 1/8 cup of water, and I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride. And I'm going to add that into about the 1/8 cup of water. I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm going to pour this into my milk. And then I'm going to mix it in a bit. And the next step is to add the rennet or coagulant. And the point of the rennet is to create a chemical reaction and to separate the curds from the whey. When you make Chevre, it's a very slow process. When you make Carter cheeses, it generally takes about 40 minutes. But when we make when we make Chevre, it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. So generally when I make cheese, I'll either do it first thing in the morning or right before I go to bed. So I'm going to add a drop of rennet, and this is a nifty little eyedropper we have, and it's important really just to add 1 drop. If you add 2 drops, dump it out and start again. If you add, because too much rennet will make the cheese, give it sort of a grainy, dry taste that you will not be happy with yourself. So if you make that mistake, which I've made many times, just start over with the rennet. And now I'm going to mix this into the milk mixture. Some people whisk it in. I have found this is fine just to use the slotted spoon. Some people do up, down. So now that I have the rennet and the calcium chloride and the culture all in here, now all we need is time. So I'm going to put my lid over the pot. I'm going to set this pot aside, and I'm going to come back to it in the morning. All right, we are back, and it's time to see what the curd looks like. So the curd has separated from the whey, and it's time to drain the curd from the whey. I just want folks to get a sense of what a really nice curd and whey separation looks like. We have in the middle is the curd, around it is whey, and it's time to separate it. But that to me is a really beautiful, perfect curd. I'm really happy with that. One thing to say about the whey is it cannot go down the sink, whether you have a septic system or you're on town sewer. Whey is really acidic and it will destroy the pipes, but it is also full of amino acids and minerals. Lots of people drink it, they use it in smoothies, feed it to your animals. I often put it in my garden. I'll mix it, so half whey, half water, and it's just phenomenal in the summer for my vegetable garden. But yes, it's fine if a few drops go down the sink, but I would never put all this whey down the sink. I've even dehydrated whey. I actually believe goat whey is a superfood because of the amino acids and minerals. So now we take this bag that was in your kit, this little nifty bag, and we're going to pour the curd into this bag, and then I'm going to use a wood spoon to basically hang it off of here. This is a different pot. It is possible sometimes if I don't want to dirty two pots, I'll use this. I'll have a bowl that I'll first pour some of the whey in and then hang it again back in the original pot. But right now I have two pots. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna grab a spoon. So if you have children or a partner or spouse around, you could ask for help. Sometimes I get help so that you get all the whey. This is a fun thing to do with kids. And I'm just pouring. I'm gonna reposition so great. And now the curd's going into the bag. Little curd left. I'm going to scrape it out. And these really are perfect bags for this. Cheesecloth is too porous, so we'll do amazing with these bags. Okay, not perfect, but good enough. So now I'm going to zip up my little bag, and as I raise it, you can see it's just going to drip whey. And it's going to drip whey for some hours. I'm going to wrap my bag around the spoon, and I'm going to hook it to the side of the pot like this. And so it's just going to drip. At some point, I'm going to drain out the whey and continue to let it drip. I don't want the curd, the bottom of the bag, to get the curd on the bottom. This is a big enough pot, so that probably shouldn't, I don't think that will happen. But if you just ignore it, you'll end up that part of your curd is hanging out in the whey, which is fine. It just ends up taking longer. So now I'm gonna come back in maybe anywhere between 6 and 10 hours. Besides dumping the excess whey, I'm gonna come back in somewhere between 6 and 10 hours. So as we're draining the curd, this can be done at room temperature, unless it's summertime and it's super hot and you don't have air conditioning. You also, if you have room in your refrigerator, I don't have room in my refrigerator, you could put it in your refrigerator. The cheese has been draining for around 8 hours. We're going to take a look at what it looks like with the whey in the pot. And we're going to see whether the cheese is ready to be taken out of the draining bag and have salt added to it. So I'm going to open up the draining bag, and I'm going to be, when I'm ready, I'm going to put it in this bowl. And so this is what it looks like. It actually looks pretty nice to me. Just want you to get a close up here. So that looks pretty good. Might still need a little bit of drying, which will finish the last piece off in the refrigerator. But now from here, I'm going to put the curd in a bowl. The wonderful things about these bags is you'll be able to rinse them off, wash them. I throw mine in the laundry, or you could hand wash them in the sink and reuse these probably 100 times. So here's the cheese. This is what it looks like. And I'm just putting a spoon through it. I'm actually pretty happy with this at 8 hours. And I'm seeing how wet it is. It probably could go a little bit more in the fridge. But right now I'm going to add salt. So always, to help bring out the taste of the Chevre, we always use salt. Often I use the diamond salt. You use a non-iodized salt. Unfortunately, we are out of the diamond salt, and we're going to try this. This is a new one to me, but as long as it does not contain iodine or caking agents. So for instance, the Morton's kosher salt is a no-no. We're going to try this. I'm not sure. And I'm just gonna, probably I would start with, I've done this so many times, but I would start with a 1/4 teaspoon, and then you just mix it in. And then I'm gonna taste it to see if it has enough salt. But you know, before I taste it, I'm just gonna weigh it because I already tared this. And so actually a gallon of milk, we're gonna show this, made 1 pound and 11 ounces. So that's pretty good. Probably could dry out a little longer and to remove the whey, but really from just a gallon of milk to make that much cheese is great to me. So I'm gonna taste now. I'm just gonna taste this to see if I added enough salt. My hunch is I didn't add enough salt, but actually it tastes really good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to mix in the salt a little better. And it's still a tiny bit wet. And how do I know? I'm just going to show this so it's a little closer. Just because I've made this so many times, I could tell it's just a tiny bit wet. So I'm going to just put this in the refrigerator now, and I'm going to let it dry for just a couple more hours, and we're going to come back to it. And then we're going to see about adding in some herbs and some other things to make it just even more tasty, even better. Now it's time to look at the Chevre after we've let more of the whey dry out from it. We have 2 different bowls of Chevre. This one is actually perfect and ready to be worked with. Just want folks to get a sense of what the consistency is. And this one still has a little bit whey, if you could see at the bottom. So I'm just gonna try to drain out that whey without having the rest of the cheese fall into it. I'm gonna stir it a little bit, and I'm gonna put it back in the refrigerator. And that's not uncommon to have just a little bit of whey continue to drain out while it's in the refrigerator over a couple of day period. And this would actually be fine to work with. It's a little wetter than this one, but I think it'd be great to work with. So now I'm going to show folks just how to present the Chevre, what you could add. You could season it, you could add herbs. One of the things that I do is sometimes, this is a silicone cupcake tray pan, and so sometimes I'll take some Chevre and I'll put it in here and then just throw it in the freezer for a few hours. Then it just becomes really easy to get those little slightly frozen cupcakes, Chevre cakes out, and it just is nice for display. And then another thing, so one of the herbs I love to use to season Chevre it's called Herbes de Provence. You could buy it at Whole Foods, you could buy them online. It's basically basil, thyme, rosemary. Sometimes it has lavender, sometimes it has marjoram in it, and it just makes a wonderful seasoning. So we're gonna mix up some Herbes de Provence, and there's a ton of different seasonings you could put in. You could use honey. You could sometimes, I've done actually dry apricots and ground that up, put that in the food processor, and that's really wonderful and amazingly sweet. So I'm just mixing up the Herbes de Provence. I'm going to add a little bit more. You also, some people like the herbes de Provence on top. You could use garlic, you could use a little bit of olive oil, and thyme is another. There's a cheesemaker out in Western Mass who does just beautiful cheese with garlic and thyme and a little bit of olive oil. I just find this is such an easy mix because I don't have to think about it. It already comes this way. And then I'm just gonna scoop it into a nice little bowl. And if I was serving this at a party or having friends over or just with my family, it's nice from here. You can have crackers. And this is another thing I like to do with Chevre is I like to add some dried tomatoes. That's another thing you could buy. These that we actually made, we grew in our greenhouse and then dehydrated them, but you also could buy these at a Whole Foods or buy them online. And it just, because they're so sweet, I guess I love the contrast of sweet versus salty and the fat that's inherent in the cheese. I'm gonna just add a few more. Another fun thing is to make a fig jam, which is pretty easy to take dried figs and add some sugar and some water and cook that down for maybe an hour, and then you have just a wonderful fig jam. So we're just making a lovely cheese board. It would be great if we had some dried fruit, some nuts, but it's just a really fun thing to do. And now I'm just going to show you guys how to make kind of a log roll. That's what often Chevre is sold in the store. You've seen it come in a tube. So we're going to try to make a Chevre tube where we roll it up. It's sort of like if anyone's made sushi, the nori rolls, you kind of make it into a tube. We're just rolling it. Honey is a really fun thing also to drizzle over this, honey or maple syrup. So I'm just rolling this up. And there we have this just lovely little tube. And let's taste some of this stuff. I think it's gonna taste delicious. So this is the Chevre with herbes de Provence. I love that. It's actually really yummy. This is one of my favorites with the sun-dried tomatoes. Gosh, I love those tomatoes. I love this. And then this is the plain. Also just delicious. So here you have it. This is your beautiful cheese plate, Chevre cheese plate. I'm sure you guys could think of other lovely seasonings to add and have fun with it. The cheese making kit and the goat milk are available daily at our farm stand at Happy Goats Farm. It's a self-serve farm stand. It's super easy to go in, grab your milk, grab the cheese making kit. You will be so happy you did this. You'll make the best Chevre you've ever had. The milk is fresh, it's milked daily, and is really just delicious and local milk and cheese you'll create.